How's it going, people? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to a very exciting video. Today is the 10th episode of Subscriber Showdown, which means I decided, for some reason, I'm not really sure why, I wanted to do a champions episode. So taking the 9 previous champions, having a little bit of an update on where their cars have gotten to, and then ultimately letting you guys vote on the winner to receive a Cars with JB trophy. I'm very excited to go back through these cars, look at the updates to the ones that have sent me updates to their cars over the last however many months. It's more than a year since I put out the first episode of Subscriber Showdown, which seems pretty ridiculous. And also, if you want to enter Subscriber Showdown yourself for the 11th episode, I'll try and do this maybe every 10 episodes where I do a Champions edition. If you want to enter, link in the description down below, explains everything. And please do also go to the description to vote on your favourite car. I'll put it in the comments as well in case you can't click in the description. But as always, remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that great stuff. Without further ado, let's get into the video. So the winner of the first ever Subscriber Showdown was Steven with this VW Polo 9N from 2003. And as you can see, he updated the car to look like a 9N3 instead, and then went away and got the graphics from the Polo WRC. As part of this build, he did an engine swap to the PD130 diesel engine. He added RX-8 seats and a whole bunch of other really cool stuff on the interior. But it really is that exterior that made this car really pop and really, I think, captured the attention of you guys because he absolutely smashed it and won that first episode. Now, unfortunately, there was no update to the car because Steven ended up crashing the car, which is very unfortunate. It then got scrapped and he's now driving a Ford Focus ST or something like that instead. I thought because I've already shown you guys these cars, if I haven't got any updates on them, I would just give you my opinion. And I was always and still am a fan of that car. I think it looks really cool. It's really sick to see someone who has done the conversion from a 9N to a 9N3. It's not something that I would do personally, but I think the idea that you can do it, very, very cool. And it's individual. I haven't seen another 9N3 like it. And overall, yes, a massive fan. So well done to Steven for winning that first episode. Go drop a vote for him if you like this car the most. Winner of the second episode of Subscriber Showdown was Matt with this 2015 Audi RS6 C7. In that video, I mentioned he hadn't done too much to the car, but just a few small bits here and there to make the car look that little bit nicer. That included a full D-chrome of all the window trim, front grille, badges, and all that kind of stuff. And he did a few performance bits as well. So he also did the plugs, the air filter, and added a cold air intake as well. But at the time, the car was running around about 570-ish brake horsepower and about 700 newton meters of torque. Since then, he's had a remap with DMS, which has taken the car to 700 brake horsepower and over 950 newton meters of torque, which is ridiculous. It's dropped the 0 to 60 time from 3.8 seconds down to 3.4 seconds. The other major change that he's done since that video was some KW adjustable springs, which first of all, having some KW springs on there is pretty sick regardless. And on top of that as well, he said that this has really helped the car in terms of how flat it handles around corners. So a few updates to the car, and again, my opinion, a stunning car. I've always loved the RS6. One day I want one as my daily driver or my family car. I just think they're such sick wagons. So cool. Thanks again to Matt for sending me his update. The winner of the third episode of Subscriber Showdown was Rob with this Mini Cooper S with a John Cooper Works body kit on it. It was a 2005 model, and as you can see, it had a whole bunch of modifications on it. I won't go through all of them as we've gone through them in the previous episode, but if you want to see them, go back and check that out. The main things to note are the JCW body kit, the Sparco alloys, the proxies, which have obviously got tyre icing on them too, and then some Stance Plus coilovers as well. And then a whole bunch of accessories to just make the car that little bit nicer looking. He also had some performance stuff in there with the Teflon coated supercharger, a 70% reduction pulley, and a larger intercooler by M-Tech. But the key thing about this build is that in the future he had actually got plans to make the car even more ridiculous, like a roll cage and bucket seats and all that kind of stuff, but he's gone actually the opposite way. He's done a few small bits to the car here and there, but ultimately taken the body kit off to return the car to being a little bit more of a sleeper. It's putting out just under 204 brake horsepower at this point, and the car, in my opinion, really does look quite pretty. It just looks very clean and fresh. There is obviously no surprise as to why you guys voted for it in the third episode and why he has come back here for the Champions episode. Next up, we have Laurent with his first car, the VAUXHALL CORSA, which caused a bit of a stir in the comments because it had a VXR badge on it, which lots of people didn't like, as it's actually an SRI, but he'd rebuilt the car from being pretty much a wrecker at the back to being this really nice and clean Corsa. But since that video, he has gone all out on the modifications. He's done so so many mods that I have to go through those rather than going through the previous mods, so if you want to see those, check out the previous video. He's gone for blacked out windows all around with the fronts just on the legal limit, VXR rear bumper installed, an R-Tech non-resonated catback stainless steel custom exhaust system, and then on top of that he's obviously added a whole bunch of other accessories to the car as well, which you can clearly see in the photos. And he has a whole list of other modifications he wants to use the car in the future as well, like literally upgrading the alloys, adding rear window louvers, and basically bringing in a whole bunch of other VXR stuff like the bucket seats, etc. This is clearly a work in progress, and the fact that he won the previous episode on a very different looking Corsa to today, I'm interested to see how he does and what you guys think of it. So next up we have James, who won the 5th episode of Subscriber Showdown with his EUNOS Roadster, and obviously as an MX-5 owner I was a big fan of his car too, but unfortunately he didn't send me any updates to the car or anything that has changed since that episode. Now at the time I mentioned the car had rotor grid alloys with HSD coilovers and a cobalt exhaust system with a decat, and the headlights were changed from stock ones to some halo ones instead. But ultimately what I think made James win the vote was just how clean the car is. It's a very pretty looking MX-5 and nice to see it with the hardtop roof on it as well, and the rotor grid alloys are always a fan favourite. My opinion, obviously I like the car, but I like MX-5, so it's kind of unfair I guess. But a massive shout out to James for winning the 5th episode, and let's go and have a look at the next car. The winner of the 6th episode of Subscriber Showdown was Connor with his Ford Focus ST. Now when he sent in the car had some basic exterior mods to it, as well as a few engine mods and a stage 1 remap. The Mark III STs are obviously generally very good looking cars anyway, and what he had done to it was just enough to kind of give it that little personal feel. But since that episode he's done a couple of other things, including a full roof wrap in gloss black, which I can tell you firsthand is quite difficult, which matches the mirrors and the other black decals. He got the rear lights tinted, and a Rogue One, a front intake snorkel, which is pretty interesting. He's also swapped out his Turbo Smart BOV for a GFB diverter valve instead, and he was supposed to be doing more, but he found out one of his front springs was cracked, so the next plan is to fix that. So again, a few subtle changes to the car, but these do really help with that red and black theme. If you like the car, make sure you vote for it in the link down below, but let's get on to the next car. The winner of the 7th episode of Subscriber Showdown was Jacob with his E39 525i turbo drift car. The only winner of Subscriber Showdown with a purpose-built car for either the track or drifting or whatever. It was a car that him and his dad had been working on for quite some time. I think they went to a drift show and over time just fell in love with drifting, so decided they'd do it themselves and use this car despite it being quite heavy because it could put out quite a bit of power. It has a whole host of upgrades to it, including a bunch of custom parts as well. But since the previous episode, nothing has really changed on the car other than welding in a half cage. But we do have some more videos of him doing some sick drifts, which we do love to see. The car sounds like an absolute beast. Thanks again to Jacob for entering and for updating us on the car. Let's get on to the next one. It's the last 2 cars now, and winning the 8th episode of Subscriber Showdown was Dewi with his Audi A1. Since that video, the car has been sold and he now drives an Audi S3 instead. You can go check him out on Instagram. I'll put the link to all of their Instagrams that I know in the description down below. And he's doing a similar job to that in terms of the clean look that he did to his A1. Some basic mods included the RS style grille, the fact that it was lowered pretty significantly on ST by KW coilovers, 1552 Turbo Mac alloys. It was running stage 2 with 230 brake horsepower and 410 Newton meters of torque, and had a whole bunch of other bits, including that TRC lowline kit, which I think was really nice. And you guys thought it was nice too, as he absolutely smashed it in the vote and won that episode. Now obviously it's a shame that he sold the car on, but in my opinion it was one of the nicest builds that we've seen on Subscriber Showdown so far in terms of cleanliness. So thanks again to Dewi for entering and for saying that there was an update with the car, but definitely go check out his S3 instead. And the final car to discuss in this video is the winner of the most recent episode of Subscriber Showdown. It is Jake's 9N3. Now as this is his first car, I did think it was very impressive the modifications that he'd done to it, including obviously those alloys, the GTI front grille but removal of the GTI badge, and the few little accessories here and there like the tartan behind the badges. Similar style to Dewi's car actually in terms of being a more clean build, but obviously just to a different level. The car is now confirmed slammed, and in my opinion it kind of makes it look like a Lupo, or at least from the back, obviously not from the front because they're very different at the front. On top of that, he's changed the front and rear lights, which also look very nice, and other than that the car is generally just looking very clean, as it says on his Sunstrip. Now again, as a Polo owner, I'm biased and I really do like his Polo, but take that with a pinch of salt because yeah, I like Polos. But what Jake is doing on his first car does look very cool, and I'm hoping to see more of the cars that he builds over the future of him owning cars. So there we have it. Those are the 9 winners of Subscriber Showdown, all back again to fight it out for Subscriber Subscriber Showdown glory. Don't forget to vote for your favourite in the link down below, and they will obviously be winning a Cars with JB trophy, which I am very excited to send out. If you want to enter your car into the next season, I suppose, of Subscriber Showdown, please do. Again, all the information you need is in the description down below. But as always, a massive thank you to the patrons. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that great stuff, and thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.
Listen.